Okay, we are on.
Okay, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Let's just give it a few minutes for people to stream in.
Hi, afternoon. Thanks for joining. And we've got somebody from New York coming in now.
Oh, okay.
He was in Bora Bora earlier, but now he's in New York. You see his hands up there.
Oh, yes, of course. The hands up.
Yeah, he was in Bora Bora yesterday.
All right. Nice place to be.
Yes. With virtual screens behind you, you can be anywhere.
I know. I did consider putting a different screen up, but never mind. We'll just give it a minute or so for people to stream in. Okay, and we're live on Facebook as well. Welcome to everybody who's joining us today. Feel free to please post a comment as a question if you have any questions you'd like to ask Vincent from VMO. Okay. Okay. Shall we start, Vincent?
Yep, sure.
Yeah, okay. Welcome everybody to our private preview with VMO Rocks and Vincent. My name is Shinola and I'm from pitchIN. It's great to have you here today on a Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock. A little bit about pitchIN. We're Malaysia's national crowdfunding platform. We've raised about 67 million ringgit for over 50 companies to date, and that number is growing. We run these virtual issuer previews now during MCO lockdown. We're entering, I think, day 34 today in Malaysia. I don't know where you are. I hope you're keeping safe and staying home. So a little bit about VMO Rocks. VMO started out as an instant booking platform for event venue and services. It's now Malaysia's largest event venue and services marketplace. They have around 2,000 merchants listed across Malaysia. And as of last year, have got the synergy of acquisitions that they've made with Booze Eat, and also they have an equity stake with Food Advisor. VMO Rocks is currently live on our platform with about 10 days to go. But Vincent Koch, who's here with us today, the CEO of VMO Rocks, will tell you a little bit more about, in more detail, about their campaign. Just a few housekeeping, if you have any questions whatsoever, those of us who are following us and watching us on Facebook, please type it into the comment section and we will pose the question to Vincent while he's online or answer it on the comment section. Failing that, there's a raise hand feature on Zoom that you can use. And at the end of the session, we will address those questions and you can speak directly to Vincent, or for the more introverted of you guys watching, please type it into the Q&A section and we will read it out, and Vincent, I'm sure, will be more than happy to answer. So without any delay, I'd like to hand over to Vincent to talk about his offer today. Over to you, Vincent.
Thank you. Thanks, Shinola. Thanks everyone for coming in. I'm going to switch over to my shared screen now and take it from there. Okay. So let me just get right into the stream of things. Right, so for the purpose of today's agenda, I'm just going to take you through an introduction of our companies, what we're doing, what our projected revenues are, and the team behind it. Right, so let me get straight into things and start with the introduction of VMO and what we now call the VMO group of companies. And my Dropbox notification is coming up, right? Hope that doesn't bother you too much. Right. So like Shanola pointed out very clearly, was when we started out as a booking platform for event venues and services. And that's the picture that you see in the background that exemplifies that. But over the years, we've kind of expanded primarily because we were getting more and more attuned and in touch with the local F&B space, the local F&B industry. And as our relationships built, we realized that there was more that we could do. So that led to us acquiring Boozit and having Food Advisor as part of our network as well. Food Advisor is parked under Bundle Up, so now that's the totality of the group, right? So while we had about 2,000 listings online, we've since grown those numbers. Food Advisor, by the way, has over 7,000 listings online. So combined, we're somewhere between 7,000 and 9,000 listings currently. So if you look at the space that we're in, why did we then acquire this company? So why did they become part of the group? So let's start with Food Advisor. Food Advisor is Malaysia's #1 food discovery platform. They do anywhere between 500 to 600,000 page views monthly. And that's the beginning phase of a person's search for good food, whether it's to dine or right now for food delivery. So with that in mind, right, with Food Advisor coming into the play, so it actually tackles the food journey of the journey of a person looking for food right from the start, from him looking for the best nasi lemak, best ban mi, best curry mee for himself, for two persons, and then that evolution, that path, that journey continues as well to events. And that's the reason why we wanted that to be part of our network. I'll get to Bundle Up later because that comes into the next section of our business. So moving on to Boozit, it's a supply of alcoholic beverages for consumers and events as well, right? Why events? Because a lot of events that we do, which are either weddings or corporate events or private functions, have a requirement for alcohol inside. So it was a perfect fit for Boozit to be part of our network. And what we've seen is that acquisition has really played very well for us, especially at this time, which I'll go into later in the slide with regard to Boozit. And of course, VMO, right? While we were very focused on generating event revenues for F&B establishments and even non-F&B establishments, things like meeting rooms, things like convention centers, or even warehouses or bungalows, right? We have progressed that business as well, especially in light of the MCO, right? But so if you look at it right now, we can address the 2 packs, the 1 packs, all the way to the 2,000 packs or even 5,000 packs. The largest event that we've booked on our platform was for a conference for 5,000 people, which perhaps might not happen so soon in the next 6 months, but we have a way to remedy that now, right? With the companies that we have in play and the new solutions that have come up, right, because of MCO. Right, so what we are is, in essence, we are an F&B matching platform now. We're no longer just an event venue booking platform, not longer just a food discovery platform. We're actually matching consumers with F&B establishments and beverages, right? Okay, which now leads us to Bundle Up. What's Bundle Up? Right, it's sourcing of products at a lower cost. What it does is that because we have already got relationships with 7,000 to 9,000 merchants, right? Right now, all these merchants buy supplies. whether it's paper or plastic boxes or vegetables or chicken or eggs, they need to get all this, right? So what we're doing with a lot of the independents is helping them consolidate their purchases so that they're able to get it at better pricing. And that's where Bundle Up fills that role. So that's the B2B section of the business, which we think will come in very strongly in the later half of our financial year. Our financial year, by the way, ends in March, right? So we've got essentially another 11 months to go. 11 plus months to go for our financial year. So it will come in, I think the B2B contribution will come in that second half, beginning next year, right? Where as things ramp up again, we should see that contribution from B2B happening more and more. So let's look at VMO and what VMO is doing, right? So originally, like I said, we were a booking platform for event venues and services. It started with 20 listings when we started in 2014, and we've since grown to over 2,000 plus listings because of the MCO, right? One of the things that happened was that obviously we knew that events were going to come to a standstill. The birthdays were cancelled. The weddings are going to be postponed into late 2020 or early 2021, right? And that's what we're seeing that's happening. So one of the things that we did was we did a quick chat with some of our operators, F&B operators that were already on our platform. We asked them, hey, in light of the MCO, what are you going to do? So they said, okay, we probably will have to do food delivery. But can you help us because, we need a cheaper platform, something more cost effective rather than the incumbents, right? So, and we need help now, right? So this was March 16th. So on March 17th, we came up with the food delivery section on our site. And on day one, we had on March 18th, which was day one of MCO, we had, I think, about 8 listings online at that time. We now have, as of this moment, just before we started this conversation, we had over 440 listings online with us already. Boozit has been an interesting performer, right? So one of the things that in the time of lockdown, I think if you've seen the e-commerce purchases that was released yesterday, that's gone viral, one top things that have gone through the roof, top purchases that have gone through the roof since the MCO started. Lingerie was one of it, but alcohol was definitely another beneficiary. So the online sales of for Boozit has really carried us through the rest of the all of March and definitely all of April now. All right, so it's more than double since prior to the MCO. And what was interesting was that we can always see a spike at the end of every MCO period. End of MCO 1, there was a jump in purchases. End of MCO 2, on that last day, there was a jump in purchases again. It's almost like people were saying, it's time for me to top up. All right, I need to get more drinks into my cupboard. Right, so that has been a real growth story for the group. Food Advisor continues to be our food discovery search engine, and with it coming out of MCO, even during MCO, this is the place where people will search for what's good to eat. So people are still looking for what's good to eat, but as the economy recovers, as we come out of the MCO as well, I think again, what will happen is that people will dine out. Maybe not in the next 1-2 months after the MCO, but definitely in the 6 months to come or after that, there will just be a need for searching for good food again, right? But with this, with the number of listings that we're now bringing online, it plays very well because even as you search for the food, you can make an order for it, which was something that Food Advisor didn't have prior to our acquisition. But moving into the acquisition now, one of the ways that we are looking at is to monetize Food Advisor's revenue streams, mentioned but bundle up earlier, and actually in a way we had already been doing some of this B2B purchases last year. So for example, we did a few sales of our coffee machines to F&B merchants last year, because we connected the F&B merchant together with the supplier and took a cut out of it, right? So so a coffee machine could be 40,000, 50,000 ringgit, and our cut would be 10% out of it, right? So which would be pretty good revenue. So that's a growth area that we would see coming back. But as I said, this will probably come in 2021, right? Where we would see an impact from this contribution. So where have we gone? Where have we been, and where will we go, right? So if you look at the numbers, when we started in 2014, 2015, that first year of revenue, it was very small. We just did about 40,000 ringgit worth of revenue. Last year, ending March 2019, we did 1.35. And in the recent year, we jumped quite a bit more. That's the scale of the jump is not quite very well reflected in the graph, but it was 1.35 to 4.48, right? And this is in part due to the combination of revenues from VMO's growth and Boozit's numbers as well. Boozit's big jump didn't really happen till the final 2 weeks of March, right? They were still doing very well. They were still doing okay. But I think moving into this year with April, that's actually been carrying us through very nicely, right? And this would be EBITDA, projected EBITDA. So we intend to turn a profit in the following year after this, right? So as the revenue size grows, as we are able to monetize more of the revenue opportunities within the network, I think we will see a speeding up of that revenue base and speeding up of our profitabilities as well. Right. So who are our investors? All right. So Cradle would be the first external investor that really helped us grow. And this was in 2017 when we did our first crowdfunding round, where we raised 500,000 ringgit. And this was March 2017. So almost 3 years ago, we raised our first round, and 500, which is part of Bundle Up already, is coming into VMO as well, right? So we're just finalizing the paperwork on that. Yeah. Who's behind it? Okay, let me start with Tom first, right? Tom is my business partner, who actually started on VMO, not immediately, not at the start. He didn't come in until perhaps a year plus later. He was actually one of our, he was our first group chain customer, right? So this was the first F&B chain that came on board our platform. At that time, he was managing the AUM group, which had Johnny Rockets, right? They've since sold that chain to Parkson, right? So when Tom came in, he started as a user. We brought in one booking for him, 2 bookings, 3 bookings, and as the bookings got bigger and bigger, right, he realized the opportunity for what we were doing, and he became an investor, right? So and even before he was an investor, I think one of the things that he did was that he actually opened up doors for us to grow our network. So before he came in, we had about 100 listings, and as his group came in, he introduced me to Revenue Valley as well, which runs Manhattan Fish Market, Tony Roma's, right? And that is essentially more than double the number of listings that we had in the space of that 1 month. Yeah. How I began on this journey was that I was a food blogger before. So one of my part-time interests was food blogging, and I've always been interested in food. But in my previous startup, we were doing booking systems for hotels, and we were able to book hotel rooms to stay in London or in Singapore or anywhere in the world, but we couldn't book any meeting room in a hotel in KL or PJ, right? So that was what gave us the idea to build this. So that's what we did in 2014, October 2014, when we launched it. We decided to take that idea that we had to say, okay, if it was a pain for us to book hotel rooms, to organize our workshops, definitely this ought to be a pain for other people as well. And that's how VMO began its life, and that's how I got into this whole space. And so it marries my love for food, my interest for food, with building an online booking system. So our offer is very simple. The price per share is 1,532 ringgit, and you can start with a minimum investment of 1 share. And that's it, right? So we're offering anywhere between 2.4% to 7% of the company, right? We're planning to raise maybe up to a maximum of 1.5. Right? We have already raised about 600,000 plus, and hopefully some of you will invest as well and become part of our family as well. Right. How the funding is going to be used is that out of that 1.5 million, the maximum amount that we're raising, it would be really split between expansion and advertising, our working capital, and our features enhancement of the sites. Right. Our future plan obviously is perhaps for a trade sale to merge with another F&B tech company in the region by year 2024. And that sums up my presentation. Let me stop. Oh, Shanola, you're muted.
Sorry, yes, I
Okay.
just realized. Thank you, Vincent, for the presentation.
Welcome.
I think we've got a question here.
Yep.
From one of the attendees.
Yep.
Do you think you will need significant revaluation of your business given the developments of COVID?
No, we don't see a significant revaluation required, because I think we will still be able to hit our numbers, because I think there's an opportunity now for us to grow significantly. So one example, I think post-MCMO will be the new normal. How will it affect VMO and the section of VMO's businesses? Right? The events business probably will see a slowdown for the next 6 months. But the food ordering side of the business has grown tremendously. So like I mentioned earlier, we've grown from 8 listings to 440 listings now and growing each day. So that's going to play significantly into our growth. And some of the new partnerships that we'll be announcing by later this week or early next week will be very interesting as well. So for example, one of the things that has just come online as of today is the ability to do flat fee deliveries for just 8 ringgit. What's the catch? It's anywhere within KL, flat fee. The only thing that you have to do is that you have to pre-order a day before, right? So, which also helps the operators, the F&B operators, plan their businesses, because then it allows them to help them plan and supplies better, right? So that is a new growth area for us. One of the things that I was very excited about is that it now allows us to reach out to merchants like a char kway teow or chicken rice seller that we've never been able to. We were not brought on board to VMO prior to this, and the engine is just a pure WhatsApp-based engine in which we've allowed people to just go into the web to the page, make the order, and then click send, and it just goes into their WhatsApp. So for the merchant, for somebody like a char kway teow seller, she's not gonna invest in her iPad to take orders, but she already has a smartphone, right? And with that, this gives her an immediate activation of her business the moment the listing just goes online. And because the listing is such that it's a short code, they can even put it on Facebook to promote it. The add-on to that, with starting today with that 8 ringgit flat fee, means that it is now viable for you to order your char kway teow, your favorite char kway teow, maybe order 2 plates, right? One char kway teow, one something else, right? For 16 ringgit, and spend 8 ringgit on delivery, which is workable. Yeah? But even before that, the other day we had one person who spent 21 ringgit on delivery when the food items was just 16 ringgit because he just so much wanted to have a plate of char kway teow.
I think I can empathize with that. I've not done food delivery yet, but I can totally empathize with that. Okay, we've got quite a few questions, so we'll move on to the next one. Post CMO will be the new normal. How will it affect VMO and which section of VMO's business?
Yeah, so I think I answered that in the sense that
I think it was kind of covered in the previous questions. That's good. The next one, who are your main competitors in Malaysia?
Okay, if you're talking about event venue booking platforms, there really isn't very much an active player anymore. When we started in 2014, there were actually 2 companies ahead of us. It was thanks to those 2 companies starting that actually spurred us into action because we were sitting on our behinds, not doing anything. We registered the company in 2012, didn't do anything because we just got so caught up in helping other people build their businesses that we forgot that we had a business of ours in the back burner. So when we saw the other 2 companies go online before us, we decided, okay, let's get our act together, let's get it going. And that's where I I shook my table, right? And that's where I decided to invest my time fully into driving VMO, because there needs to be one person driving this. It cannot be just sitting there, nobody driving it. So I took that challenge to drive it. There's a second part to that question in the sense that if you look at where we are now as a F&B matching platform, where we're not just booking of venues, we're not just selling alcohol to consumers, but also to operators and passing them those margins that we are able to save, and also food discovery, then I don't think so there's a competitor in this space that has something similar, that offers solutions from the small to the big.
Okay. So okay, that's cool. The next question, where is VMO in major cities in Malaysia? Are you just focused in the Klang Valley?
Yes, originally we were focused on the Klang Valley, though we do have listings at other places as well. So, but what's interesting is how we grew the other states. Let me start with event bookings first. How we started growing out of the Klang Valley was when our Klang Valley customers started booking events out of state. So because they had done events with us, booked events with us in KL, this would be corporate companies where they said, okay, we're doing a road show, we're going to Penang, we're going to Ipoh, we're going to Sabah, Sarawak. Can you help us find places as well? Because we rather have to deal with you than to deal with multiple locations. So that's how our business grew a few years ago. And today we have spread across maybe about 800 listings in other states other than the Klang Valley.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. But
okay.
I think
Are you? I think there are a few questions here on your expansion plans as well. So maybe you'd like to touch on that while focusing on where you're going to as well.
So to finish that question with major cities, I think there's one part which has been interesting, which is Penang. Penang is my home state, and dealing with Penangites. Even though it's my home state, right? Penangites is sometimes interesting, right? Because they're always yes, margins are very important to them, very, very important to them. So for the longest time, we couldn't really break into Penang. We had maybe about close to 100 listings, but couldn't really break into some of the very nice event spaces. But guess what? Because of the MCO, they actually approached us and said they would like to list. Right. So one of the best places in Penang, right? Finally came to us and said, hey, we'd like to list, right? Since you're also doing food delivery and food ordering now, but we also want to prepare for post MCO when we come out of MCO and we want to do events. We want to try to bring back those events. So it's the MCO is challenging for sure, but I think it's a great catalyst of change, because we see in the the attitudes and of operators changing very significantly. Yeah, where they didn't want to work with partners before, they're now very open to working with partners because it's a matter of survival. It's it's not matter about preserving just the margins to save that 2%, 3%, right? But hey, it's, do I survive this or not? Yeah, is okay. Yeah.
Very true. Okay, we've got lots more questions here, so let's move on to the next one. When an order is placed via VMO, who takes the responsibility to do delivery fulfillment?
Right now, we are the ones helping them manage this, because for Char Kway Teow seller, I think she's got no time while she's cooking. She's got no time to take care of the delivery fulfillment. So what we do is we are the ones arranging that for them, and taking a very small fee out of that at the moment. By the way, for the MCO, we've waived all transaction fees on the platform, apart from delivery, because that somebody needs to pay. The drivers, the riders need to be paid, right? So, but that's a cost paid, borne by usually the user, the personal order. If I take a step back on events, so typically prior to this, one of the reasons why we've been successful at booking a lot of events on our platform is primarily because we have a concierge service. So there's a person that the customer liaises with, and that would be a member of our team who would then take them through what's possible, what's not possible, what are the best things to match for a certain venue. And that's what has allowed us to get into a lot of corporate bookings, and as well as DIY venue bookings as well, especially things like birthdays, which do not require a party planner, or even a growing trend among young couples who are getting married where they're not planning to do it in a hotel, right? But they want to mix and match. They are looking for lifestyle venues. So lifestyle venues would be things like this place in Sungai Buloh, which is almost out of a New York warehouse catalog, right? So it looks like something out of a warehouse in New York with red bricks, right? Yeah, so that's popular, and those are things that we've done well in. Okay, is our revenue disclosed? Yeah.
Yeah, is your revenue disclosed gross or net?
Gross, that would be top line, right? That we are taking now.
Okay, what's going to happen to the venue booking, seeing as to because of the MCO, large gatherings are not encouraged?
Yeah, so for example, the bulk of our businesses typically cater to events that are sub 200 people. What will happen? So a lot of these weddings are being postponed to next year, right? So what we're working with the operators are allowing for extensions that go usually beyond the norm. So traditionally, they will allow you to extend just within the year. But what's happening is that I think a lot of the operators are now open to extending till 2021, to mid-2021 even, rather than lose the money altogether. So it's if you don't allow me to extend it, I've got to cancel, right? So I think the operators are becoming more open to such ideas as well. And yeah, but for some of the birthdays, for example, obviously we can't really push a birthday.
Right? Yeah. You can't push a birthday. Yeah.
So those are cancelled,
like next year.
Yeah, but typically our peak is towards the second half, the last 6 months of the year. So it usually happens last 6 months of our financial year, which means it really begins October to March, which is where our peak is. Our first 6 months, which is from April to September, is usually our lower months. So in a way, since the MCO happened at this time, it kind of works in our favor because
it doesn't impact you as much. Is there a reason why is your business cycle is like that?
Well, because let's take weddings and annual dinners for that matter. They typically happen at the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah, or very early into the next year. So, for example, Chinese New Year is usually February, January.
Yes.
And then and Christmas is December. So annual dinners tend to fall in that area.
In between.
In between, because they want to like combine everything, right?
Yes,
It used to be that they would do separate events, but now to save cost, they do one event, right? But maybe spend a bit more for that single event then. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next few questions. Okay, there's two questions on expansion here. We touched on it outside Klang Valley just now. So maybe we can combine this. Does VMO have expansion plans to other countries? And if so, how are you going to break those entry barriers when you do?
Okay. Well, we're an F&B matching platform right now. And the F&B business in Malaysia is, according to the Malaysian census, is an 82.8 billion ringgit industry. We've really just scratched a small part of it. Do I want to expand into another country? I think I would probably do that later, especially with the MCO now, because I think this is a time for us to solidify ourselves here. I think there's an opportunity, a great opportunity for us to expand in our local market at the moment, with opportunities to go into areas that we've never been able to get into before, or we didn't even think of getting into at that earlier, maybe until later. But MCO has really accelerated some of these plans. Food ordering, food delivery really is an area which has grown for us in a very nice way. Alcohol sales as well. So one of the things that has grown because of the growth of alcohol sales, we're now able to talk to the brand owners directly, and that makes it interesting because we're planning engagements with them within the last few weeks of MCO and even post MCO. So we could have actually done a lot better in alcohol sales if the supplies were available. So one of the things that hampered us, for example, this month we're already at 200,000 ringgit in terms of alcohol sales. Wow. Month is not over yet, right? So one of the things that hampered us in the first 2 weeks was the crazy unavailability of alcohol, right? People were just demanding, right? So it's eased up a bit as some of the suppliers open, but on beer side, for example, Heineken and Carlsberg is still not allowed to open. So wine and whiskey has actually been a driver of sales.
Okay, good. Not the Corona beer or whatever it is, right?
Not Corona beer.
I wouldn't have thought so, but okay. Oh, fair enough. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How are you marketing all the business units in VMO? Which channels? Social media, traditional? What are your marketing?
Okay, let's take each of them. All right. Let me start with Food Advisor. Food Advisor is very organic driven. Okay, so prior to the MCO, Food Advisor had not done advertising for the longest time. Neither have we actually at VMO. We had not done advertising, not even Google ads, for quite a number of months already, because the organic traffic had reached a point where it was generating enough leads for us to work on, and it was actually growing each month. So it's a factor of the listings that we have. As we grow the number of listings, the traffic and the organic search actually also increases. But because of MCO, we've upped our social media spend, primarily for the food ordering side of the business, and that's driven the traffic up quite nicely for us. So Boozit is not allowed to advertise on Google at all, right? So even if you want to spend Google ads, you can't. Facebook allows it though, right? So social media, it's allowed. So the spend is on social media, but with more with us integrating our platforms better, that process where you begin at Food Advisor to look for food, we'll see an integration of more Boost solutions as well. And even as you order food, let's say, for example, of course, if you're ordering halal food, then we know not to match Boost with, right? But if you're having haram food, right? Like a giant slab of roast pork, hey, a bottle of red is going to go brilliantly with it. Yeah, so then we'll suggest, hey, how about this Burgundy? Or maybe not Burgundy, Shiraz or Syrah, Merlot, right? To go with that.
It's sounding very good right now, I must say. Okay, on to the next one. Are you profitable now? And if not, by when?
Yep, we will be profitable by 2021, right? So that's back in the slide where we have that. So we will be profitable by then. I think what's happening is that with the acceleration of growth that we're seeing, um, um, we're well on track for that.
Okay, there's another question here. Can you provide a breakdown of your revenue contribution when the business matures based on the 4 offerings that you've got right now?
Okay, all right. So right now, I'll say what it is right now first, and then before I move into what it will be. Right now, what it is that the main contributors would be Boozit and VMO. It's almost 50-50 contribution, but this month, obviously, it's really Boozit. Yeah, it's alcohol sales that's spurring. So there are 2 things that we're seeing on our platform that are going selling well: booze and cakes. So it seems to be that's a good pairing together. Moving on in the future, the B2B segment will probably contribute. Sorry, not will contribute far bigger revenues. Why? Because our B2B revenues will include matching of even things like not just supplies, not just eggs, chicken, vegetables. Those are good income because those are recurring on a weekly basis where a lot of operators buy once or twice a week. So that's going to be recurring. But there will be also lumpy contributions from things like matching of fit out contractors. So one of the fit out contracting jobs that we did last year that we matched, that was 200,000 ringgit, right? Sorry, no, 150,000 ringgit, plus minus a few other things. Yeah, so a single project like that is 150,000 ringgit, and that contributes to our revenue as well. So as we onboard more and more operators, I think that will become a bigger and bigger contributor.
More significant.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question has popped up now. Would you consider giving discounts to investors for the services under your business unit?
Good question. No, no, sorry, that came off as
like a bit of honesty, Vincent.
No, I think let's try to help the company grow that revenue, and what we can guarantee you is that we'll help you find the best matching services to what you're looking for, right? One of the things that we have never done on our platform, if you look at VMO, is that we've never had a word discount on or featured discounts on our platform until the MCO, and even then, it's a 20% discount if you pick up the food yourself, or 10% discount if you pick up your food yourself, right? So I think what we're trying to do with the whole positioning of where we are as a group is we're trying to sell value. We want to try and create value and bring value to the industry. And I think if what we were doing was discounts, it would cheapen the value of some of the F&B operators working on the platform. And that's the reason why we consciously didn't go into that space when we started.
Okay.
As a founder, what's your goal?
Yes, the final question for now is at least, as a founder, what's your goal for VMO? Where do you want to bring it to?
I think there's a huge scope for us to grow VMO as a F&B matching platform. So that has been the driving force since we started the business. There were some ideas that we wanted to get into. We wanted to expand beyond. When we started VMO, this is 2014. When we started VMO, we saw it that we could start integrating more and more services apart from the venues, and it would be a mix and match place. And that's happened. And because of the mix and match with alcohol, for example, we went on to acquire Boozit as well and make them part of the family, because we saw that By doing so, that fit would be fantastic, and that cross-selling that we have in place would work very well. And that's what has happened. Boost It has a lot of corporate clients, and a lot of these corporates, as they buy alcohol, they're also looking for new venues. So they're always asking, where can we do our next event? But of course, right now, that's going to be more muted. But guess what? Because of the relationships we have with our corporate customers, so one of the things that was done just yesterday was that we did a coffee delivery to one company's employees. So 166 employees, they had coffees and cakes delivered to them, and then they convene in a Zoom meeting after that online.
Oh, that's really good, actually.
Yeah, that's cool, isn't it?
It's like a virtual coffee cake party.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, I must ask pitchIN to start doing that as well for our monthly meetups. I know my colleagues are listening, thinking, "Why did she say that?" It's all right. Okay, I think there are no other questions that I can see. Maybe you can, if you have any other kind of last investment push, Vincent?
Yeah. Well, I guess you're asking, okay, hey, this is the F&B industry, and we're right in the middle, right smack in the middle of MCO, right? Don't even know whether it's going to end next week, right? Yeah. But next week, correct. It's supposed to end next week.
7 days, I think, 7 days.
Yes, and counting, right? So we don't even know when it's going to end, right? So number one, why did we start our investment right smack inside the MCO, right? One of the reasons why we did that was we kind of realized that we believe, actually, maybe we believe, it's more not so much a realization, but a belief that I think coming out of the MCO in the next few months, food is something that people will still consume, right? It may not be in the numbers that they may not go fine dining. Maybe, I'm not sure. They may, right? Because some of the news coming out of China showed that some of the luxury goods sales boomed after they came out of MCO, of their MCO, right? But it means that right now, this is the time for us to get ready to tap into the market over the next 6 months to 12 months, because I think there's a great opportunity for us to engage the industry in a very meaningful way. I think some of them, I think in the earlier pitch that we did the other day, I think somebody asked how many of them will survive, right? I reckon that some of them will not, which is sad, but some of them that will come out, who will survive, will come out of this needing assistance. And that's where I think we can play a role in helping them from food discovery to food delivery to bringing back events into their premises. And the food industry as a whole is one of those industries that is evergreen in a sense that even in the height of a recession, people still need to eat, right? So it's not a vanity business. I've been in a vanity business before, so that was in '97, where I felt the full brunt of what having a vanity business in a recession felt like, right? But with food, I think it will continue to move. So if you look at the numbers. So going back to those numbers, it's an 82 billion ringgit industry. So what if it gets chopped by 30%? It is still 60 billion, right? So it's still a huge industry. It's larger than travel, the tourism industry in Malaysia. So that's it. Yeah. So I do hope to see some of you become investors.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for today, Vincent. That's been very insightful. So thank you for everyone. Thank you to everybody who's joined us today. Just as an info, VMO is actually live on our platform at the moment with 10 days to go. Please log on as an investor on www.equity.pitchin.my. They've crossed the minimum threshold and are at 620,000 ringgit at the moment, with a maximum target of 1.5 million. So let's make this our count and invest for as little as 1,532 ringgit, I believe. And we hope to see your investments coming through. So thank you very much again, Vincent. And thank you everybody for joining us today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.